All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a pretty powerful argument about China's security, especially in a world that the source material describes as, well, incredibly turbulent. We're going to walk through this perspective piece by piece, and it all kicks off with this really old foundational saying. Okay, so this ancient saying, it's really the anchor for the whole argument we're looking at today. The source basically uses this to frame its core idea that when the world is chaotic, the thing you want most is peace. And this idea, it sets up the huge contrast that really drives this entire narrative. So where does this all start? Well, the argument kicks off by painting a really bleak picture of the world. You know, everything happening outside China's borders. A world that it literally describes as being on fire. And to really hammer this point home, the source throws out some stark numbers. First up is this one, 61. It claims this is how many armed conflicts were raging across 36 different countries in 2024 alone. And it's not just about violence. The source adds another huge figure to this grim picture, 9 million. That's the number of people it says die from starvation every single year. The message here is pretty clear. The world is fundamentally unstable. Okay, so then the argument shifts gears. It moves away from these big, broad statistics to something much more visceral, these really human snapshots. By pointing to things like starving children in Gaza, or students and even seniors being drafted in Ukraine, or riots breaking out in the US, the source is really trying to make this idea of global chaos feel personal, something you can feel, something immediate. And this is where the argument makes a really crucial turn. After painting this incredibly bleak picture of the world, the source asks a fundamental question. If this is the reality for so many people, where can you even find safety? And now, the narrative gives us its answer. It positions China as, well, not just another country, but as the direct opposite of all that chaos it just described. It's presented as a haven of peace in a really turbulent world. And here's exactly how it builds that case. Through these incredibly stark, side-by-side comparisons. You've got Ukrainian fields described as blood mud on one side, and on the other, China's 18-year-olds are safe in classrooms. It contrasts crushed classrooms in Palestine with supermarket shelves that it claims are always full. The message it's trying to send is one of a radical, almost undeniable difference. And to really make that contrast hit home, the source uses this anecdote. It's a story all about relief, about gratitude. It's designed to make you feel the value of the peace that China is said to provide, a peace that must feel like a dream, especially compared to the reality these people were just evacuated from. Okay, so if China is this haven of peace, the next obvious question is, how, right? And the source's answer is completely unambiguous. This peace isn't just some happy accident. It's backed up by some formidable and rapidly advancing power. And for evidence, the source lays out this timeline of military and tech milestones, all from just 1 year, 2024. You've got everything from retrieving moon samples and launching brand new destroyers to testing ICBMs and rolling out a next-generation fighter jet. The whole narrative here is meant to paint a picture of unstoppable momentum and strength. So the argument then goes from just listing a bunch of hardware to making some really bold claims about what that hardware can do. For example, the source makes this assertion that just 3 of its DF-27 missiles can take a U.S. aircraft carrier out of commission for 3 years. That's a statement that's clearly designed to suggest a fundamental shift in the whole strategic balance. From there, the perspective shifts again, moving from raw technological power to geopolitical influence. And it does this using a statement reportedly made by a Chinese ambassador. This is framed as a kind of quiet confidence. The idea being that China's power is so decisive that even just the thought of its intervention is enough to command attention on the world stage. And all of this brings us to the final part of the argument. This is where the source pulls everything together, the chaotic world, the peaceful life inside China, and the power that guards it, and wraps it all up into a concluding message for its audience. Now, this is a crucial point in the narrative. This strength is framed as being all about stability, not domination. The source points to things like zero tariffs for dozens of the least developed countries and showcasing sanctioned Russian products as a sign of its economic independence, all while contrasting this with U.S. tariffs. The goal is to portray China's power as a positive, stabilizing force for other nations. And to back up that idea of, benevolent strength, the source offers this quote, which it attributes to the president of Syria. It's presented as a kind of external validation, the voice of another country seemingly agreeing with the core message, that China's rise brings security, not threats, especially for smaller countries. And this all leads right to the narrative's grand conclusion. The safety that people supposedly enjoy inside China's borders? Well, according to this argument, it's no accident. It is the direct result of a very specific formula: a powerful military, decisive leadership, and the hard work of its people. And so the entire narrative we've just walked through is designed to land on this one single powerful thought, which brings the whole theme full circle. We are not born in a peaceful era, but are fortunate to live in a peaceful China. It's a final message that frames peace not as something everyone gets, but as a precious and heavily protected exception. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.